Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Watch my video and subscribe my channel. Liam's play for hope, Luna manipulates, Taylor's new beginning. The bold and the beautiful spoilers for the week of September 15th to 19th show that Liam Spencer will make another move for Hope Logan, while Luna Nozawa resorts to more manipulation. Taylor Hayes will also get a fresh start. So let's talk about what's next on the CBS serial. BNB's 39th season premieres on Monday, September 15th, so fans can expect some new story twists, romance turmoil, and fashion house excitement. For starters, Taylor will need to figure out what her future holds now that Ridge Forrester has returned to Brooke Logan. Fortunately, Taylor will not be able to wallow in her misery for long, as the program has hinted at a new relationship on the way. Of course, Thomas Forrester will be sorry for Taylor and enraged with his father. Ridge will undoubtedly receive an earful from Thomas at some point, and he may realize he deserves it for stealing Taylor's happy ending. Ridge will feel at ease in Brooke's embrace. Brooke and Ridge will have to plan their wedding now that they have confirmed their engagement, so we shall see when and where they decide to marry. On a more professional note, some fashion show preparations will begin in the upcoming episodes. The Forresters do what they do well, creating some stunning creations that will eventually reach the runway, including a showstopper to remember. Eric Forrester will help with the preparations, but he will also take some time to enjoy Brooke and Ridge's reunion because he is their strongest supporter. Speaking of reunions, Liam will not give up on his goal to have one with Hope. That means Liam will make another play for Hope's heart, hoping to remind her of the love he knows they still share. Carter Walton will see his own engagement to Hope crumble because he cannot match with the eternal relationship she has with Liam. It will take some time, but Carter is on the edge of admitting the truth and understanding Hope's strong desire to reconcile with Liam. Luna, on the other hand, will utilize her manipulative skills to her advantage with Will. Despite Will's outrage at Luna duping him into a drunken encounter, she refuses to abandon her dream of being a pair. Will also have to decide how to handle the news of Luna's survival. Luna may point out that if Will calls the cops and tells the full horrible story, Electra Forrester will also receive updates. According to the bold and the beautiful spoilers, this will complicate matters for Will. So don't miss what he does next. Liam Spencer to the rescue. According to the bold and the beautiful teasers, Liam Spencer will assist his younger brother discover his stalker this week on the CBS drama. Are dollar bills suns and over their heads? Here's what's up next on the CBS soap. Keep reading for more information. An all-new BNB preview for next week sees Will Spencer Jr. still receiving texts from his stalker. Luna Nozawa is clearly bored in her grandmother's apartment and cannot stop harassing him. However, her time in concealment is limited. Liam calls and favors. According to bold and the beautiful spoilers, Will receive assistance from his older brother Liam Spencer this week. Liam has a lot of contacts and resources, so he quickly gets the IP address of Will's stalker. This week's promotion concludes with Will Spencer Jr. knocking on Lee Finnegan's door. Interestingly, Liam Spencer has just dispatched his younger brother to track down the serial killer who shot him. Liam clearly has a grudge against his brother's stalker. Read this, the bold and the beautiful spoilers. Hope and Carter's official split confirmed. See why wedding called off. Is Will in danger? If Liam assisted Will in locating the IP address for Lee's residence, it won't be long before he can piece together the clues and conclude Luna Nozawa isn't dead. Here's hope Luna receives a positive pregnancy test soon, because she's set to be sent back to prison. According to BNB spoilers, something bad is about to happen very soon. Do you think Liam Spencer put his brother in danger? If the Spencer brothers find out where Luna is hiding, how far will she go to keep them quiet? Liam Spencer's play for Hope Logan became the central heartbeat of Los Angeles as the week of September 15th to 19th unfolded. And though the show teased fashion runways, celebratory reunions, and Taylor Hayes daring to envision a fresh start after Ridge ran back to Brooke, the true drama lay in the intersection of desperate love, manipulation, and hidden danger. For Liam wasn't just a man revisiting old patterns. He was a man remade by his brush with death, a man whose recent coma, shooting, and fraudulent brain tumor diagnosis left him raw, vulnerable, yet oddly more determined than ever to reclaim the woman he believed was his destiny, and that persistence collided headlong with Hope's faltering engagement to Carter Walton, an engagement increasingly exposed as hollow whenever Liam's name was spoken or when the air itself seemed to shift with his presence, making Carter not only question Hope's sincerity, but also his own worth in a relationship defined by her half-hearted attempts to move on from a love that never truly died. Meanwhile, in a dimly lit apartment belonging to Lee Finnegan, Luna Nozoa, very much alive despite Lee's fake death scheme, spent her nights weaving manipulations that grew darker with every hour, tormenting young Will Spencer with cryptic texts, veiled threats, and the lingering trauma of their drunken hookup that she forced upon him. Her obsession with forcing him into a relationship, fueling a cat-and-mouse dynamic where Will's fear clashed with his anger and his confusion about how to handle her survival. And though he considered going to the police, Luna's manipulative reminders that exposing her would also drag Electra Forrester into the scandal gave him pause, creating a secret he carried like a millstone. Taylor Hayes, on the other hand, wandered through the ruins of her broken engagement to Ridge, hearing Thomas's outrage echo like thunder, feeling Steffi's protective fury simmer, yet choosing, for once, not to collapse under the weight of being second best to Brooke Logan, instead entertaining the possibility of a new romance teased on the horizon, a man unburdened by decades of Logan Forrester baggage, a man who could see Taylor not as Ridge's consolation prize, but as a vibrant, compassionate woman worthy of being chosen first. And this glimmer of self-reinvention allowed Taylor to exhale, even as Ridge basked in his reunion with Brooke and leaned into Eric Forrester's wholehearted approval of their upcoming wedding, which promised to become a showstopper not just in fashion but in emotional fallout. Still, all the wedding prep and celebratory energy couldn't drown out Liam's determination, for when he wasn't digging into the digital breadcrumbs of Will's stalker, he was making heartfelt appeals to Hope, reminding her of the bond they forged through years of heartbreak, forgiveness, and children, insisting that no engagement ring from Carter could erase what existed between them. And though Hope resisted, citing her desire for stability and to prove she could stand on her own, her eyes betrayed her when Liam spoke of the family they once built, of the way Beth's laughter always rang truest when both parents were present, and Carter, sharp enough to notice these lingering looks, began to quietly resign himself to the inevitable collapse of his engagement. In parallel, Will's decision to accept Liam's help led to a chilling cliffhanger, for Liam used his resources to trace the IP address of the threatening texts, pointing squarely to Lee's apartment, and when Will knocked on that door, the walls of Luna's hiding place shook with the inevitability of exposure, promising a collision of past crimes and present obsessions, raising the question of how far Luna would go to silence the Spencer brothers once and for all. Would she manipulate, seduce, threaten, or kill again, and would Liam's protective instincts for his younger brother lead him into yet another bullet's path, or perhaps into the role of savior who finally dismantles Luna's reign of terror? Meanwhile, the fashion world bustled. Eric's pride in Ridge and Brooke blossomed. Thomas's anger at Ridge festered. Steffi plotted her defense of Taylor's dignity, and somewhere in the chaos, Sheila Carter's shadow loomed, her redemption arc tested by whether she might intervene in Luna's spiral, perhaps saving a Spencer for the second time, further blurring the lines between villain and heroine, as all roads bent toward an explosive revelation that Luna was not only alive, but possibly pregnant, a twist that would tether her forever to the Spencer legacy and ensure that manipulation alone wouldn't be enough to control the fallout when the truth finally hit the runway. Alongside Forrester's glittering gowns, shattering illusions, and cementing that the 39th season of The Bold and the Beautiful would be defined by Liam's relentless play for hope, Luna's descent into obsessive manipulation, and Taylor's bold attempt to start anew in a city where no past ever truly stays buried. And so, as Liam Spencer doubled down on his renewed pursuit of Hope Logan, His persistence became both intoxicating and maddening to everyone orbiting their fractured love story. For Hope, still clutching to the fragile security Carter Walton offered her, felt the cracks widening under the weight of memories, the echoes of every kiss, every moment she ever shared with Liam, and Carter, noble but pragmatic, began to recognize that no amount of patience or generosity could compete with a bond forged through survival, loss, betrayal, forgiveness, and a child that tethered Liam and Hope together forever. And though Carter tried to remind Hope that stability mattered, that she deserved a man who would not vacillate between her and Steffi, Liam's sheer presence dissolved those arguments, leaving Hope cornered by her own emotions, particularly when Liam framed his pleas not as selfish desire, but as a plea for their daughter Beth to live in a home filled with both parents, and while Hope told herself she had moved forward, her pulse betrayed her every time Liam leaned close. Every time he reminded her that destiny didn't simply vanish when one tried to will it away. Meanwhile, in the shadows of Lee Finnegan's apartment, Luna Nozoa tightened her grip on Will Spencer's life, not through overt violence, but through insidious psychological manipulation, flooding his phone with messages, images, reminders of their drunken hookup, positioning herself not as a predator, but as someone he could never escape, dangling threats that Electra Forrester would find out, that their secret would ruin reputations if he dared to defy her, leaving Will trapped between fear of exposure and rage at his own vulnerability. And though Will was young, he was still a Spencer, and that meant fire burned in his veins. So when Liam stepped in, using his resources, his connections, his sharp instincts sharpened by his own trauma, they unearthed Luna's hiding place, forcing a confrontation Will never wanted. And Liam's anger at Luna wasn't merely protective, it was personal, for she had once aimed a gun at him, left him fighting for his life, and now she had entangled his brother in her sick web. And though Liam urged Will to stay back, Will's youthful bravado pushed him forward, right into danger, creating a storm of consequences that could either expose Luna to justice or empower her manipulation to new extremes, especially as rumors swirled that Luna might be pregnant, a revelation that would ignite a war between the Spencers and the Finnegans, particularly if Bill discovered one of his sons had fathered Luna's child, a nightmare scenario for a man already burdened with guilt over Liam's prior shooting. And as this combustible storyline intensified, Taylor Hayes tried to navigate her new reality, nursing the sting of Ridge, choosing Brooke yet again. But instead of retreating into bitterness, Taylor resolved to forge a new path, one teased with possibility, whispers of a man, unconnected to the Logan Forrester war, someone who might see her not as Ridge's leftover, but as a vibrant woman worthy of being chosen for herself. And this fresh start did not come without opposition, for Thomas, consumed with rage at Ridge's betrayal of Taylor, sought vengeance, vowing to undermine Brooke's reunion at every turn, while Steffi, though protective of her mother, also found herself distracted by the encroaching chaos of Liam's entanglement with Hope and Luna's shadow over her. Cousin Finn's family, for Lee's decision to fake Luna's death echoed eerily of the time she faked Finn's, igniting suspicions about whether Lee had developed a god complex, controlling life and death with icy precision. And this parallel did not escape Sheila Carter, who lingered on the edges, watching with calculating eyes, knowing that one intervention, one moment of heroism could buy her redemption in the eyes of Steffi and Finn. For if she stepped in to stop Luna, the narrative might shift, painting Sheila not as the eternal villain, but as a savior willing to put others before herself. And as Eric Forrester poured his energy into preparing for Ridge and Brooke's grand wedding and the dazzling Forrester Creations fashion show, celebrating his son's reunion and basking in the nostalgia of a love story that defined decades of drama, fissures still spread beneath the surface, Thomas seething, Taylor daring to dream anew, Hope's engagement to Carter crumbling under the inevitability of Liam's presence, Luna spinning an ever tighter web around Will, Liam preparing to strike not only for his brother, but for himself, determined to reclaim his destiny, and every character's choices edged them closer to a crescendo where secrets would shatter, families would fracture, and the shimmering gowns on the runway would mask the blood, betrayal, and revelation that defined Los Angeles itself. And yet, as the days in Los Angeles pressed forward, what should have been moments of clarity only spawned more turbulence. For Liam Spencer's pursuit of Hope Logan was not unfolding in a vacuum, but rather against the ever-present hum of Forrester drama, Spencer family chaos, and Finnegan's secrets. And with each appeal Liam made to Hope, the lines around Carter Walton's engagement ring blurred until it felt more like a placeholder than a promise, with Carter himself sensing the inevitability of loss in every stolen glance between Hope and Liam, every tremor in Hope's voice when Liam spoke of their daughter Beth. And though Carter tried to steel himself, tried to tell Hope that love should be about the present and not about clinging to the past, the truth was that Hope's past with Liam wasn't simply memory. It was blood, sweat, heartbreak, forgiveness, and destiny, a gravitational pull stronger than Carter's earnest devotion. And as this romantic triangle strained to the breaking point, Luna Nozawa's manipulation of Spencer deepened in ways that even Liam hadn't foreseen. For Luna was not simply taunting or threatening anymore. She was crafting a narrative in which what was her chosen one, her lifeline, her chance at redemption, twisted into obsession. And while Will oscillated between fear and fury, Luna's whispered threats about exposing him, about ruining Electra Forrester with the fallout of their drunken hookup, kept him shackled to silence, yet Will being Bill, Spencer's son, was no stranger to courage and cunning. And so his alliance with Liam grew not just out of necessity, but out of a desire to reclaim his own agency, his own dignity, even if it meant facing the woman who had nearly destroyed his brother. And this bond between the Spencer brothers simmered with a potency that threatened to explode once they tracked Luna to Lee Finnegan's apartment. For Will's knock on the door was not merely an act of confrontation, but a catalyst for truths long buried to finally detonate, with Liam standing close by, ready to unleash the rage of a man who had survived Luna's bullet and now saw her entangling his younger brother. But Luna was not a cornered animal prepared to surrender. She was calculating, already imagining scenarios to manipulate, to threaten, even to fake another death if necessary. And the whisper swirled that she might be pregnant, that her desperate grasp at permanence might come in the form of a child. The implications of such a reveal were staggering, potentially binding her forever to the Spencers and reigniting old rivalries with the Forresters and Finnegans in equal measure. Especially if Lee's secrets about faking Luna's demise came to light, painting her once again as a woman willing to play God with family, life, and identity, much as she had when she hid Finn from death, and Taylor Hayes, watching from the sidelines, tried desperately to shield herself from repeating her own cycles of heartbreak, attempting to embrace a new beginning, a fresh romance teased on the horizon, even as her children, Thomas and Steffi, could not forgive Ridge Forrester for abandoning her yet again in favor of Brooke Logan, whose glow only grew brighter as she basked in Ridge's arms and allowed herself to dream of yet another wedding, one which Eric Forrester championed with pride, pouring himself into the preparations for a Forrester Creations fashion show that promised to dazzle the world while doubling as a celebration of Brooke and Ridge's eternal destiny. And though Eric's optimism carried weight, the fractures in his family ran too deep to be smoothed over by silk gowns and sparkling lights. For Thomas plotted, Steffi seethed, and Sheila Carter lingered in the shadows, watching Luna's unraveling with the sharp instinct of a predator who smelled opportunity, calculating that if she intervened to stop Luna's manipulations, to save Liam or Will in a moment of crisis, she might finally be welcomed into the fold she had long craved, positioning herself as savior rather than villain, redemption rather than ruination. And so every storyline twisted tighter into the next, Liam's relentless play for hope pulling Carter into despair, Luna's manipulations threatening to drag Will into ruin, Taylor daring to stand tall in her own fresh start, Ridge and Brooke planning a reunion that looked picture-perfect, yet carried the seeds of rebellion from their children, and Sheila, waiting, poised, ready to seize the one chance fate might grant her to rewrite her legacy. While in the background, Whispers of pregnancy tests, fraudulent medical files, and looming betrayals teased that the chaos of Los Angeles had only just begun, with the 39th season of The Bold and the Beautiful determined to remind viewers that no love, no life, no secret in this world ever stayed buried for long.